4. The intelligences of the moon sphere. When the magician has become sufficiently acquainted with the zone girdling the earth, so that he has contacts with some of its heads, especially the masters of magic, he may start trying to get into contact with intelligences of the moon sphere, by mental traveling or by carefully arranged evocations, either in our physical world or in the zone girdling the Ean, or even directly in the moon sphere. At that point he must have got sufficient information from one of the many heads of the zone girdling the Ean, i.e. he must have undergone a certain training in order to be able to control the moon sphere. The first journeys to the moon sphere the magician best carries out in the company of a head of the zone girdling the Ean, providing he has, above all, faultless control over his elevation into other spheres. A personal guide, a guru, can also introduce the magician into the moon sphere by following him by thought stirrings, his mental wandering or evocational operations right into the moon sphere. A well-trained magician who has carefully followed my instructions given in the first volume Initiation into Hermetics may also take himself safely into the moon sphere without a guide and without any special assistance. After a certain time he will get used to the oscillations of the moon sphere, which are rather different from those of the zone girdling the Ean, the physical world and the kingdom of elements. As soon as the magician has overcome the first difficulties, he will feel at home, just as he does in any other sphere. The moon, being the Earth's nearest neighbor and its satellite, is completely dependent on it. During his mental wandering the magician will find it proved that there exists on the moon no living being and that there is no vegetation whatsoever and therefore also no human beings. The moon, similar to the Ean, is surrounded by a sphere which initiates call the moon sphere. This sphere is inhabited by innumerable beings, much like the zone girdling the Ean. To give a full account of all the beings of the moon sphere would fill innumerable pages and is therefore not possible from the technical point of view. The initiates of the moon sphere, like the initiates of the zone girdling the earth, have been commissioned by divine providence to carry out various tasks. They are equipped with special faculties and powers and are able to bring about certain causes, and with them naturally also certain effects, directly in the moon sphere as well as on our Ean. Operating from the moon sphere, some intelligences have to carry out certain duties also on other planets and their spheres. Already certain heads of the zone girdling the earth are able to inform the magician of the magic of the moon. It need not be especially stressed in this connection that the moon by its turn and circulation round our earth ball quickly passes through the various electromagnetic fields of force and oscillations of its own aura and of the aura of our earth, practically directly cutting through them, and, by doing so, influencing the existence and fate of the Earth planet. The sphere magician is able to work out the moon's influence on the 4 grades of the ecliptic i.e. of the zone girdling the Earth, and due to his knowledge of the laws of analogy, also its influence on the zone girdling the Earth itself and on our physical world. It is up to the experienced magician to make use of his knowledge of these influences. Sphere magic, therefore, is nothing fantastic, but a secret knowledge which is only equaled by the knowledge of the Quabella. Below, the reader will find a short description of the 28 heads of the moon sphere that have an outstanding influence on the zone girdling the Earth, as well as on our material world, i.e. on all the 3 planes of human existence. Often these intelligences are regarded as the rulers of the 28 moon stations known to the Quabbalistic astrologer in their good as well as in their bad function. This means that there are actually 28 positive and 28 negative heads of the moon sphere. The former have the task of creating good causes and effects, the latter of creating the contrary. To prevent the reader from any misuse, only a description of the 28 positive heads of the moon sphere is given here. If the magician is desirous of getting temporarily into contact with the negative heads, he can do so without having to fear any bad influence on body and soul. Only few initiates are informed about the names and seals of the heads of the moon sphere. The facts stated here are based on frequent personal intercourse with all kinds of beings and heads of all the spheres, including, of course, those of the moon sphere. Figure 1, EVOP, is the name of the first head of the moon sphere. It is his commission to control the regularity of the tide. He is an excellent initiator into the electric and magnetic fluids and their use in moon magic. If the magician carefully follows the explanations of this head and does as he is told, he is able to produce phenomena in the zone girdling the earth as well as in our physical world, on all three planes, the mental, astral and physical, that are nothing short of miracles, by means of the magnetic influences of the moon and the electric fluid of the earth. Besides this, EVOCATION and his subordinates protect the magician against any unfavorable influences which he might have to encounter during his work with the influences of the moon. The first head of the moon sphere can, furthermore, unveil to the magician a great number of mysteries that until now may have remained hidden to him. Figure 2, EVOCATION, is the second head of the moon sphere. He is responsible for controlling the rhythm in our physical world. This rhythm is produced by suitable intelligences of the zone girdling the earth in the world of causes at the will of this head. He teaches the magician the laws of biorhythm and periodicity of our earth and their use for mantic and magical purposes. The magician learns that the 9 months of a woman's pregnancy have a special relation to the Kabbalistic number 9, the number of the moon. Furthermore, the magician will get from this head exact details of the analogy of a woman's menstruation to the moon, of periodicity, of polarity and of many other relevant things. Figure 3, EVOCATION, this head, the third of the moon sphere, shows the magician how, by the correlative influences of the moon sphere, he can procure for himself, in the Akasha principle, happiness and everything good. Since this head's influence usually works on the physical world, he and his subordinates will help the magician to good luck and success in all earthly matters. Figure 4, EVOCATION, the fourth head of the moon sphere, protects the magician against all underhand tricks and acts of revenge by hostile men. He or his subordinates, which he likes to put at the magician's disposal as familiar spirits, will reveal to the magician any secret plans of his enemies, any intended acts of revenge or malice, prior to their being carried out, and will advise the magician on how to protect himself against malicious people. EVOCATION's serving spirits are able to defeat any acts of revenge planned by hostile men at the very moment of their origin. This head of the moon sphere reveals to the magician with a certain degree of maturity words and formulae for banning which enable the magician to paralyze or even kill a person, or whole groups of persons, at the moment of their utterance. The magician can bring about such effects over the greatest distances. The person concerned will die at once from a heart attack. Of course, also temporary or lifelong paralysis can be affected by such words or formulae. They will, however, only be revealed to magician who would never think of misusing them. Figure 5, Am's ear, is the fifth head of the moon sphere, who apart from other things, can procure for the magician the favor of and protection by very important personalities. By using simple Kabbalistic methods, revealed to the magician by Am's ear, the former can make the heart of the hardest man melt, can make his greatest enemy his friend at once, and is able to raise sympathy and love in any human being he is interested in. The magician is capable of making pliant any person he wishes. Figure 6, Injured, the sixth head of the moon sphere, is able to create love in untrained people, in a man for a certain woman and, vice versa, in a woman for a certain man. To the trained magician, however, will be explained by Injured the mysteries of sexual magic in its relation to moon magic. Apart from that, the latter will teach the magician the charging of all kinds of talismans and amulets provided with fluid condensers, with influences of the moon, by force of sexual magic. This may be done for diverse purposes, specifically for creating love, sympathy, power of attraction, popularity, etc. Figure 7, Emerald. If a person not initiated into magic wears the seal of the seventh head of the moon sphere, manufactured during the astrological period of the seventh moon station and engraved on a silver plate, he or she will have good luck and success, and, above all, have any earthly desire fulfilled. The trained magician, having got into contact with this head, will be taught how to realize all his wishes by force of moon magic, no matter whether they concern the mental, astral or physical world. Emradu brings the magician good luck and success and likes to put his subordinates as familiar spirits at the latter's disposal. Figure 8, Ene, the eighth head of the moon sphere is a connoisseur of all diplomatic and political events. He can be of great use to the magician by helping him to make a political career and to be successful in all diplomatic affairs. Since this head, above all, is a lover of peace, he assists, in the time of war, such people who follow the high ideals of peace, truth and justice. The magician being active in this line is able to win any fight, any war, no matter how it is to be carried out. Figure 9, Msbipe, the ninth head of the moon sphere, is the special guardian angel of sick people whose ailment is due to unfavorable influences of the moon or to the doings of negative spirits of the moon sphere. This is usually the case with epileptic fits, menstruation difficulties, states of obsession, hysteria, street vitices dance, lunacy, etc. This head reveals to the magician how to cure such diseases by force of moon magic. Figure 10, Mnema, is the name of the 10th head of the moon sphere. He is responsible for controlling the pregnancy period and birth of man. Together with the relevant head of the zone girdling the earth, he lets man see the light of day. Therefore all gynecologists, midwives and their assistants are under his influence. Mnema teaches the magician how to effect a painless delivery in those cases where he considers it necessary and informs the magician in advance whether the baby in the mother's womb is going to be a boy or a girl. He can also come to know from this head the exact time at which sexual intercourse should take place in order to procreate a baby of that sex which its parents have in mind. Mnema is the protector of all mesmerists and the people that deal with mesmerism. He shows the magician diverse methods for the treatment of diseases by the magnetic fluid. He knows means for completely curing venereal diseases. Figure 11, Ebvip, the 11th head of the moon sphere makes it possible for the magician to gain, by magical methods, the respect of people, no matter of what rank they may be. Besides that, he teaches the magician to bring about phenomena which would make a non-initiate tremble with dread and horror. Although it is not easy to get into direct contact with this head, the magician who has reached a good degree of magical development will succeed in it, if necessary, under the guidance of a head of the zone girdling the earth, or of his own guru. The magician will then be able to convince himself that this head is an excellent initiator into phenomenal moon magic. Figure 12, Mkb, is the name of the 12th head of the moon sphere, who is a great lover of peace and happiness in marriage and wherever good luck, love and sympathy are involved. He makes the magician aware of the transmuting power of real love. Mkb reveals to the magician the relevant methods for the production of love amulets which can be charged by moon magic. Figure 13, Mchba, the 13th head of the moon sphere, is an excellent initiator into mummial magic as far as it is connected with the influences of the moon. The magician, therefore, is taught by this head the relations between mummial magic and moon magic, its successful application as well as how to make use of the magnetic influence of the moon. This head will inform the magician of many magical practices, such as for instance, in what harmless way he can enter into astromagical pacts by force of mummial magic, without the magician having to renounce himself literally with body and soul. The astromagical pacts are then carried through with a mummy, the magician thereby being able to bring about the most diverse effects by the help of a fluid condenser, without ever getting involved into the matter himself, that is without leaving any disadvantageous traces for his own person in the world of causes, in the Akasha. Since this head has control over some more secrets in this direction, a magician is well advised not to omit him. Figure 14, Ezhoba, the 14th head of the moon sphere, can be of great value to the magician inasmuch as he can reveal to him the secrets of creating within himself, without difficulties, the most diverse occult and magical faculties by the help of moon magic, which later may possibly be also applied in the other spheres. The magician is, at the same time, taught the polarization of powers, furthermore, how to bring about, in a certain way, the levitation of himself and of other people, or even of other objects, by force of quabalistic moon magic, by change of polarity of gravity. The magician also learns how to acquire the faculty of interpreting symbols that he sees in the moon sphere by force of clairvoyance, as Hoba teaches the magician to comprehend the laws of the moon sphere from the magical quabalistic point of view and how to control them practically. As Hoba is therefore rightly called a marvelous initiator into quabalistic moon magic. Figure 15, Neep. No magician being in contact with intelligences of the moon sphere will fail to get into contact with this head, the 15th in the correct order, for he can be initiated by him into many things that up to now have remained unknown to him. The magician will, for instance, be informed about the influence of divine virtues on beings of the moon sphere and how the Akasha principle works directly on the moon sphere and from there on the zone girdling the earth. Neep will be pleased to tell the magician about methods by which he can acquire the faculty of reading in the Akasha principle, with his mental body placed into the moon sphere and how to bring about magical effects there. It is impossible to give all details and advantages which the magician will be offered when getting into contact with this head. Therefore any magician should see that his contact with Neep becomes realized. Figure 16, Ekatasa. The magician is taught by the 16th head of the moon sphere how to get control over the negative beings of that sphere, either by way of mental wandering or by way of evocation, and how to make them pay him absolute obedience. At the same time he introduces the magician to diverse magical measures of protection, which not only make him invulnerable against any unfavorable influences, but which also help him to become a magic authority, respected not only by the positive but also by the negative beings. By character this head of the moon sphere is a very benevolent intelligence, who will be pleased to give the mature magician any kind of assistance and who therefore will also unveil to him the secrets of moon magic. Figure 17, Emsham. One of the peculiarities of moon magic is the so-called magic banning. Under the seal of secrecy the 17th head of the moon sphere, Emsham can give the mature magician exact information on this. He will reveal to the latter diverse quabalistic and magic formulae, banning formulae, which can be used for a great variety of purposes. For instance, Emsham knows banning formulae by which any enemy can be destroyed at once, or such formulae by which thieves are checked on their escape, so that they cannot make any further step with the stolen goods in hand, no matter where they are. Banning formulae that make any attacker stiff and lifeless at an instant, banning formulae that at once put away any negative influence, banning formulae that render harmless the most furious beast, no matter whether in the air, on land or in the water. This head disposes of many other kinds of banning formulae. Of course, the magician to whom these banning formulae have been revealed will only make use of them in case of greatest danger. Emsham is an intelligence much respected in the moon sphere. All moon beings look up to him in awe. Figure 18, Mzit, the 18th head of the moon sphere informs the magician of secret methods which enable him to become invisible by the help of moon magic, moon quabella, moon beings and the Akasha principle. Apart from that, Mzit informs the magician of the laws of materialization and dematerialization, not only in respect to the astral body, but also in respect of physical matter. This head is rightly regarded as the initiator into magical transmutation. Figure 19, SM, is the name of the 19th head of the moon sphere. Being an original initiator, this head explains clearly to the magician any influence of the legality and analogy of the moon and the moon sphere and their relations to the zone girdling the earth and our physical world in all three planes, the mental, astral and physical, and he teaches the magician how to make practical use of his newly gained knowledge in the magical and quabalistic sense. The magician can gain more knowledge and wisdom from this head than he might think possible. Figure 20, Etakai. The 20th head of the moon sphere is an excellent master of initiation, especially as far as that of ecstasy is concerned, which is brought about by magical dances and appropriate rituals in connection with moon magic and moon quabella. Only few initiates know that special powers and faculties are released by ecstatic dances and rituals. The magician will be told about this by this head. Furthermore, The magician will learn from Metakai how to get under his control all the influences of the moon sphere and how to win the supremacy over the positive as well as the negative beings of the moon. It stands to reason that by doing so the magician will become an authority on the moon sphere. Figure 21, Etamras. The 21st head of the moon sphere instructs the magician how, by certain magic and quabalistic methods, to become strong and resistant against any visible and invisible enemies, against any kind of influence by elements, etc. He becomes magically taboo. No man on earth is able to assail or do harm to a magician who enjoys, and works under, the protection and guidance of this head of the moon sphere. The magician is safe from any persecution or magical assault. He is capable of enduring the greatest possible heat, of going through the greatest fire, without a single hair of his head being burned. By following special methods revealed to him by this head, the magician can make his body as hard as a diamond. He is invulnerable from the magical point of view and master over his life and death. Figure 22, Rivetim. The magician is taught by the 22nd head of the moon sphere to consciously absorb the facts of time and space in the moon sphere. He is then able to transfer over the greatest distances not only his mental, but also his astral, if necessary, even his physical body. The magician guided by this head of the moon sphere can confidently walk along the surface of the sea without sinking into the water, can rise into the air and travel through it as he likes, can, in short, bridge any distance with spirit, soul and body. Time and space become unimportant to the magician not only in spirit, but also with regards to his astral and physical body, and matter is in no way a hindrance to him. Figure 23, Lightavish. The magician who has gained the confidence of the 23rd head of the moon sphere will be initiated by him into the remotest secrets of magic and Kabbalah and is allowed to command powerful words by which he is able to calm down instantly the greatest gales at sea, check the most horrifying eruptions of volcanoes, to kill whole armies, to win wars, etc. The magician with high ethical standards will, of course, never dare to misuse the words of power that he has been taught, for by doing so he would oppose legality and only do harm to himself. Guided by this head, the magician will get such powerful influence, not only on the moon sphere, but also on the zone girdling the earth and on our physical world, that a non-initiate cannot have the faintest notion of it. Figure 24, Zvekev, is the name of the 24th head of the moon sphere, who is rightly called the alchemist of that sphere. He initiates the magician into the working of the elements on the moon. The magician is taught by Zvekev suitable methods for the alchemical transformation of metals by being able to control the electromagnetic fluids. He, furthermore, reveals to him the secrets of true magical rejuvenation of the physical and the astral body and explains to him the laws of life and death valid in the moon sphere, thereby also considering the zone girdling the earth and our physical world. By the connection with this head, special advantages are offered to the magician. Figure 25, Lavmezu. To influence and control the plant kingdom is the task of the 25th head of the moon sphere. He reveals to the magician all the mysteries of life, of sprouting and growing, and shows him how to master this kingdom by moon magic. The magician is then able to accelerate, or to stop growth at will. Following the instructions given by this head, the magician is able, by the help of moon magic and by applying certain Kabbalistic words, to make fertile in a supernatural way a whole field, no matter how large it may be, or, vice versa, to make it infertile and change it into a desert. Figure 26, Impin. It is the special commission of the 26th head of the moon sphere to explain to the magician who has got into contact with him the causes and effects of the sun and its light in its mental, astral and physical relation to the moon and the moon sphere. Furthermore, the effects of these influences on the zone girdling the earth, as well as on our physical world, its mineral, vegetable and animal kingdom. Impin also informs the magician of the influences that the sunlight has on the moon and from there on our human bodies, in the mental, astral and physical respect, and teaches him the practical application of all this knowledge. Figure 27, Mzub, is the name of the 27th head of the moon sphere, who informs the magician of all the minerals of Earth having an analogous connection with the moon and its sphere. Since Emzab is a marvelous initiator into moon magic, the connection with him can be of great advantage to the magician. Figure 28, Emza, is the name of the 28th and last head of the moon sphere. The magician is instructed by him how to get under his complete control the element of water in the moon sphere and in our physical world, using moon magic and Kabbalah to achieve this. Not only will he thus get under his power all animals that live in the water, but he will, at the same time, become the master of temperature. The magician operating according to the instructions of this head may be sprinkled with boiling water, but will not get any scalds. Protected by Emza, a magician can bring about such miraculous things as changing boiling water into ice. This brings us to the end of the description of the 28 heads of the moon sphere. For the purpose of their first evocation, their seals have to be drawn in a white or silvery color. Every magician who has already become master of the zone girdling the earth should not omit to strive for and realize contacts with at least a few heads of the moon sphere, for it will only turn out to his great advantage, never to his disadvantage.